It's that time of the evening when the sun goes down and we talk about things only adults should hear about, because quite frankly, this type of conversation isn't for everyone. Only the sexy people! So go start that microwave popcorn, grab a cold or warm glass or whatever you're sipping on, put on your bathrobe and slippers, because Mr. Pie Show is about to get your engine revving like a crowd ready to throw all their dollar bills all at once. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the microphone, one of the legends of male review, the innovator of the Pie Show, the one who had you sneaking across the border to Canada, 6-time Daddy's Dancer of the Year on the Chuck Dee After Dark podcast with strip club stories, nightlife music. Here he is, the legend. Make some noise for the one and only Chuck Dee. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get uncensored.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chuck Dee a.k.a. After Dark podcast. I got a very special guest today. I have my mother, and it's her 80th birthday, and her name is Brenda Hall, which is my mom. And so, Mom, I want you to state your name and tell them that who you are, and today is your big day, okay?
I'm Brenda Hall. It's my 80th birthday. I'm Chuck Dee's mom. And I'm speaking from the 313.
Let's go, DET 313. So, Mama, tell them where you're from, the actual state that you're from. I want to, tell everybody where you're from. Where are you from, Mom?
I was born in Bankhead, Alabama.
Okay, and then you lived in Nauvoo, Alabama, right?
Yeah, and then I came up here when I was 4 and a half. My dad, my mom, and my 2 brothers.
And where did you guys move to?
We first moved to River Rouge.
Okay.
And then we moved to Wyandotte.
Okay, and then you moved me when I was born and Cindy was born. You moved us to River Rouge, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So where did you graduate from, Mom?
River Rouge High School.
What year?
1965.
Man, 1965. And what people don't know is at River Rouge, it's 8th through 12th grade, right?
Yes.
So it's 8th through 12th grade. And every year that you went to River Rouge from 8th to 12th, you guys won a state championship.
That's right. In basketball.
Yeah. Every year that she went to River Rouge, that means grade 8th through 12th, they won a state championship. So that must have been something.
I was proud of it, too.
That's right. And when you went to school there, Mom, who was your head basketball coach at River Rouge?
Lofton Green.
Lofton Green, the great Lofton Green Hall of Famer, one of the best high school basketball coaches in the state of Michigan, and he's the winningest basketball coach in River Rouge. And in the state of Michigan, they got the most state championships under Lofton Green.
And he was also my principal at Ann Visitor School.
And he was your principal. Wow,
yeah.
That's awesome.
And I won a sack of potatoes, 50 pounds on a raffle.
And you won a sack of potatoes.
Yep, a sack of potatoes.
And
I was so happy.
So, Mom, when we was growing up, we grew up in the city of River Rouge back then, and it was different times. That's when everybody got along, everybody knew each other. Little League baseball was going, the hockey was going. when we all played hockey, football was going. It was great times in the city of River Rouge, correct?
That's right. And I got a lot of sitting on the bleachers and sitting in the cold ice rinks. But I was there. I wanted to support my team.
And her sons and daughter.
Yeah, my son and my daughter.
Yeah. So, name some of the great times that you had in the city of River Rouge, Mom, when you was growing up, from the times you was growing up.
Well, every year, around Labor Day, they had a big, they had basketball, they had music.
Rouge Days, right?
Yep, called Rouge Days. They had games, they had bingo, they had, different things for different groups. Like older people, they had certain things. Younger people, they had certain things. They used to have relays for the little kids to run and,
Horseshoe tournaments. They had the
Yeah.
basketball, Rouge Days tournaments.
And they used to have a water fight between E-Course and River Rouge.
Man, and that was a big rival, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And
Rouge versus E-Course.
yeah, and we used to win a lot. And those guys would go flying down Jefferson because of the water hose. I mean, they had that big water hose that they used to put fires out with.
Yep. When it was Rouge versus E-Course with the fire department and the Rouge Days tournaments and
then,
stuff like that.
Then when the games during the day was over with, well, they still had booths there, for different things, but they'd have a dance.
The Rouge Days dance.
Yes, they had a dance, and they also had contest.
Yep, contest.
Who won the dancing contest?
For people who don't know, I got my dancing ability from my mom. Right, Mom? I got it from you.
Yeah, I used to dance all over the house with you kids.
And that's where I got my dancing.
Arms.
Yeah, and my dancing ability. And I remember when we was young, we used to play the Gong Show, and I used to imitate Elvis and Michael Jackson. Right?
We had a lot of fun in the house.
Yeah,
That house was rocking.
It was definitely rocking.
Yeah.
I remember the good times. Like I said, we had good times in Rouge, one catch 'em all, kick the can, different games that we had played on the streets of River Rouge. It was an awesome time. Wasn't it, Mom, back then?
Yes, it was. And everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
And our neighbors all got along.
Yeah, it was a good time, wasn't it, Mom?
Yes, it was.
And today is your 80th birthday, Mom. And I want everybody that's on the podcast to wish my beautiful mother a happy 80th birthday. How do you feel, Mom? Considering everything you've been through. You've been through a lot. You've been through a lot of surgeries, a lot of medical problems, diabetes. You've had, you broke your nose when you fell. You hurt your hip. You broke your hip. You broke your shoulder. You've had a lot of injuries over the years, but how you feel today on your 80th birthday?
I feel pretty good. If I had my shots in my legs, I think I could do a dance rug. Because I used to dance all the time.
Yeah.
And my kids would dance with me all over the house.
Yep, that's where I got my dancing ability from, is my mama. 100%. I got my athletic ability, I think, from my father, especially baseball. football for sure, from my dad, and then hockey. I don't know where I got that from. I just decided to play one day and skate. I think my sister took me to the ice rink all the time. My sister Cindy, she used to say, well, take your brother with you. If you're going to go skating, you got to take your brother with you. And she used to hate it. I don't want to take my brother. And she used to hate it. But I think it's because of my sister I started playing hockey. And I appreciate you, sis. Love you, Cindy, my sister Cindy. And then you got Tim playing hockey and baseball. He didn't last in football too long. He was skinny.
Basketball.
Yeah, he was a good basketball player too. He played for Mr. Materniak at Dunville.
Sure did.
Yep, played for Mr. Materniak. And we had a good time. So, Mom, when I started stripping and you found out, what did you think of that?
I was at stroke level.
Stroke level.
I was. I was ready to go to the hospital because by the time he was in the 7th grade, I had to go to school 7 times because he was acting up, rolling the radiators, disturbing the whole class, and the teacher would call me and ask me to come to the school. So I went 7 times.
Oh, man.
And the 7th time, I said, this is it. We're going to have a talk. And I told him, I got him out in the hall, and I said, the next time they call me to come up to this school, I am pulling down your pants and blistering your bare butt right in front of everybody. And I said, I'm going to learn you.
That's child abuse today, Mama.
Well, I want to tell you what. That wasn't child abuse, because child abuse you'd have been dead. Child abuse.
I remember when we was younger, we used to get whipped with the belts, the switches, whatever you guys could find, we was getting tore up.
I never whipped you with a belt.
Dad did.
I spanked. Well, hey, I'm not your dad.
And you spanked me.
With my hand.
Yeah, you used to tear my ass up with your hand.
With popping it. And I'm not afraid of that. Because you know what? That's why a lot of kids this day and time have never had a spanking in their life, and they needed it.
Yeah.
Because they keep acting up and doing things they shouldn't be doing. But I'll tell you what, I broke you from having to go to the school and settled you down.
That's right. You settled me down, didn't you, Mama?
I sure did. Until you decided you wanted to be a stripper. No wonder. Because he acted up all the time. And that's why when he decided, well, I'm going to be a stripper, well, he knew how to dance. And if he got a chance, he'd take off his clothes. So he learned from an early age. And I had to break him from that.
So I remember when I was like, Mom, I want you to come to one of my Dancer of the Year competitions. And one thing about my mom is she's always supported me at everything that I've ever done. Whether I was rapping at events, she would always go downtown Detroit by herself. She would always go to different concerts that I would throw. She would go by herself. One thing about my mom is she didn't need nobody. She would always come by herself to come support me. Whether I was rapping at the Hart Plaza downtown Detroit, whether I was rapping at Scruples in Detroit. I did shows. I opened up at the Royal Oak Music Theater for Stevie B. I would do shows at the State Theater. Everywhere that I went, my mom would always support me. So one time she did go to Danny's, And the first time she went there, she was like a celebrity. Right, Mom? There was a line around the building. Girls would know who you are. So tell them about that.
Well, I was in line. I thought, well, I'm here to see my son, but I have to get in line. And when they found out that I was Chuck's mom, they took me right up to the front and knocked on the door. And this older woman, she come to the door and she told me who she was. And I said, I'm Chuck Dee's mom.
That was Miss Katzman, right?
Yep. And she said, come right in, honey. You don't have to pay nothing.
Shout out to Mrs. Katzman, God rest her soul, a sweet lady. That was Rob Katzman's mother, and beautiful lady. That lady treated me like gold. I think I was one of her favorites. And she was an awesome lady, man. Very, very respectful. She didn't take no shit from nobody. I'll tell you that. That lady did not take no shit from nobody. So
and she took me right in, and I had one thing that I told Chuck. I said, I'm going to see you perform, but I said, you better not pull off naked in front of me.
That's true. So everybody, when I used to do my Dancer of the Year competitions, they noticed that I really didn't get butt naked. And that was one thing that I didn't do, was get totally butt naked in front of my mom, because I respected the fact that she asked me not to. So the times that I did do shows and it was on a slow, I gave the illusion that I was naked, but I really wasn't. So I'd always get in like bathtubs. I would get jacuzzi tubs. I would do apple pie shows to where it was still very classy, so she wouldn't get too mad at me.
Well, I told him, I said, when I leave and I'm not in the building, you do whatever you got to do. But I said, I don't want to see it. I said, I'm there to watch you perform these shows, and I know you would do a good job, because he was always entertaining people. Chuck had the knack to entertain, and dancing, and so on and so forth.
There you go. Get closer, Mama, so they can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, and what? Let me ask you this: and then after you went your very first time to see me perform, you went to all my Dancer of the Years after that, and you became like a household celebrity, because everybody knew you, everybody loved you. Let me ask you this: out of all the shows that you've seen me perform, Mom, what was your best show? What show did you like the best?
Titanic.
Titanic. That was your favorite show?
Yes, you've done an excellent job, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, Titanic was a good show. It was well put together. I had a lot of people help me with that show, and you played the older lady when you dressed up in the gown and threw the necklace over the side of the ship. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I walked to the front of the boat, and I dropped the necklace in the water.
Yeah.
At the front of the boat. Mm-hmm. And I didn't mean to drop it, but I dropped it. And I was terrified because it was such a beautiful, beautiful necklace.
And the thing about the people that don't know is when she did drop it, it looked so real, and she got nervous, but that was part of the scene in Titanic too. So it kind of all went into place. And then I had the dry ice going along the stage, and the wind from the fans that I had built inside the ship started blowing her dress back, and the strobe light was going. So when she walked off stage, it looked so nice, didn't it, Mom?
Yeah.
And then when she came through the curtain, I was Leonardo, and I was dressed in a tuxedo by the clock, and I did that song, It's Time, doom, 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 doom. It was a good beat, good song, dance to that. So that was one of your best shows. Can you name another show that you liked, that you really liked?
I like The Egyptian.
Oh, The Egyptian show. That was a good show.
They one of them big muscle men carried you
Yeah, when they carried me in
the auditorium.
Yeah.
And you guys had Egyptian outfits on. Egyptian, what do you call them?
The pharaoh heads and stuff, and the headpieces.
And it was beautiful. It just, and it all clicked together. I mean, they just knew what to do and how to do it and how to put him up there on top. And it was beautiful. And then he did a performance after he got down and everything, and changed clothes.
Yeah.
He did a dance and performance.
Did you like, let me ask you this, did you like the electrocution chair show? Remember when I turned into different characters? I turned into Elvis.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And Vanilla Ice, and I did the Beastie Boys, and every time I got electrocuted in the chair, I would turn into a different character. That was a good show too, wasn't it, Mom?
Yeah, it was a good show. But my first and favorite was Titanic.
Right. And remember we did the Eminem skit when I had the house built, Eminem's house built.
Yeah.
And then we had the little girl that was in the bed in the trailer park. And we did the Eminem skit. But overall, your favorite was Titanic.
Titanic, which I liked Eminem too.
Right.
Because I've always liked him because of the little girl.
Yeah, the little girl when I sung the lullaby to her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
let me ask you this. What show did you like the best out of all the times that I performed, whether it was rap at Danny's, dancing? Which one do you think you was the most proud of me that you danced? Was it the Tyrese one? Remember you went to the Tyrese concert? We opened up for Tyrese?
That. But like I said, I liked when you performed and acted too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you did a lot of dancing, which I was always there, supported you. But when you did the shows, it was like it was real.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did your dancing afterwards.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Mom, out of all the performances with the rap groups, with CIA Posse, my solo shows, when I used to perform at Southland Mall, when we used to do shows downtown at the African American Festival.
That was in Canada.
When we used to do our shows in Canada. Did you like Tyrese the best?
Yeah.
As far as...
But...
Or did you like when I opened up for Stevie B at the Royal Oak Music Theater and the State Theater? So out of all the shows that I did, right?
Yeah.
Forget about Titanic because that was your favorite dance show at Danny's. What was your favorite show outside of Danny's?
When you performed in Canada.
Yeah.
And you had the CIA Posse?
Oh, I remember when we did the show in Peppermints and we performed with Doug, Paul, and me.
And, yeah.
And we rapped for Thomas Hearn's family.
But I want to tell you this. here Chuck and them was at my house waiting on the limo. So me and my two friends, we left early and went to Canada
To see the show, right?
to see the show. We got there, and here was the limo letting all these girls out.
Right.
I called Chuck and told him his limo was over in Canada.
And for
Already
those
there.
people who don't know, me and my dad and the group, we paid for a limo. So the limo that we paid for, the manager or our producer at the time, I'm not going to mention names, but he picks up the models and the people that was in the fashion show in our limo, picked them up and took them to Peppermints in Canada, but never picked us up. So we're sitting there, and my dad paid for the limo out of his pocket. So my dad goes, Chucky, if you don't get my money, and if you don't get the money that's owed to you, and if I have to go looking for somebody, it's not going to be a good situation. So my advice to you is you guys go get in your car, you go to Peppermints in Canada Perform, and go get my damn money. So that's what we had to do. But that was still one of your favorite shows
Yes.
in Canada?
You guys performed excellent. You guys had been practicing, dancing together, singing, rapping, and it was a good show.
And we did the show in Rafters in Belleville.
Yes.
Remember in Rafters?
Yep. And we used to have a lot of people there.
And we did
Watch him perform. And I had a dinner set up for everybody before the show so they could eat and everything.
yeah, we did the African American Festival downtown at Cobo Hall.
Yeah.
We did shows there.
Yeah. It was,
I think my favorite show, the one that I was the most proud of, was at the Fisher Max Theater building when we did the Tyrese show. I think that was the most electric. That was the most exciting for me. That was the most fun. I got to meet him backstage. He was a very nice person. He kept calling me Bruce Willis. I'll never forget. Tyrese said, "Man, you look like Bruce Willis. Man, I'm telling you, you look like Bruce." And I was like, "Hey, I'll take it. That's a compliment."
well, I like the Tyrese show too.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that I liked that show in Canada was because you all four performed, the group.
Yes.
And I remember.
And it was the kids that you liked that I grew up with, and that was Dougie D, and Paulie P,
P.
Paul, and that and it was me.
And,
It was just us three, but we performed with Dave Clark, Big Dave, Tall Dave, at Rafters when he joined the group of CIA Posse. And shout out Dave Clark to you and your family. We love you. I appreciate what you and your mother and everybody did for me over the years when we used to come out there and hang out in Belleville of Sumter. And I appreciate the Clark family for looking out for us, practicing, letting us rehearse at his house, always feeding us. So shout out to Dave Clark. I appreciate you, brother, and I love you. Hopefully I get to see you soon. Paul, I know you're in Sydney, Australia somewhere. I want to give out a shout to you and your wife. I appreciate you guys over the years of what you did when you were here in America. So shout out to Paul and his wife. I appreciate you. Love you guys. Shout out to Dougie D. Appreciate you, Doug, for always being there for me, always looking out for me and stuff like that. So, Mom, one of the things that I also wanted to talk about was all the times when I was sick, you were always there by my side. And I wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate you, and I love you for that.
know if I can talk about it.
That's okay, Mom. I know you get emotional over things,
I was at the hospital once a month because my son was so sick.
Yeah, I was
born with pneumonia. And once a month he was real sick in an oxygen tent.
Yeah, when I was born with double pneumonia, and I was getting pneumonia every other month, and I was always in the hospital, always sick, and they didn't know that I was going to make it. And, I pulled through, and then as I got older, I kept getting sick with pneumonia and bronchitis all the time. So my mom was, very scared at the time. I'll never forget, she took me to Alabama when I was a kid. And back then they didn't have air conditioning in the cars and stuff. And I cried 14 hours straight from Alabama all the way to Michigan. Come to find out, I was turning blue. They took me to the hospital, had pneumonia again, almost died, had to put me in an incubator to keep me alive with full oxygen. So I was sick, from when I was a kid, Mom. And then when I just turned 16, I got diabetes. Remember, I was scared to death of shots, and Dad would have to come in and hold me down because I was so deathly afraid of shots.
Well, you wanted me to give you the shots, and I said no.
I was going to have to learn myself, right?
Wait a minute. I said, I'm your mother, but I said, you're 16, and you have to learn to give yourself shots because I'm not always going to be around. And if you need a shot, what are you going to do?
That's true. And they made me practice on an orange.
So they give him an orange, and he started practicing. And within 2 or 3 days, when I went to see him, Mom, I can give myself a shot. I said, hallelujah. I said, I'm so proud of you.
I was scared to death of shots. I would not take it. My dad used to have to hold me down. My mom, the doctors, till 16 years old, I dreaded shots, did not like shots. Now to this day, that I started doing shots, diabetes. Now I've had diabetes 41 years. I was always very sick with diabetes, didn't know how to control diabetes, very, very serious disease. Now I'm on an insulin pump. Now they got me on a Dexcom. I'm able to control my sugars levels better. But what got me real sick was not controlling diabetes. Almost led me to amputations. I had retina surgery in my right eye, went blind for 6 months.
You had toe surgery?
Yeah, I had my toe surgery when I almost lost my foot. I almost lost my hand when I got cut, and then the infection traveled up my arm. I remember I did a show, the Egyptian show in '99. I won Dancer of the Year, and then after the competition, my hand was so swollen, my mom said, Chucky, you better go to the hospital. I went to the hospital. I went to a hospital in Canada called Hotel Dieu. They released me, said they couldn't do nothing for me. Came back to America and got in the hospital. I almost lost my arm. The infection almost got to the bone, and I almost lost my arm. Do you remember that, Mama?
Yes. And when you got to the hospital, your blood sugar was 1,000.
Over 1,000, yep.
And if I hadn't saw that place on his hand, and it was, the red mark was traveling up his arm, he would have died because he didn't know no better.
And the infection almost got to the bone, and it was a very serious time. So I want to tell a story. I got sick years ago. My appendix busted. I was laying on the floor, and my mom found me in the floor. Luckily, she called the ambulance because, like I said, my appendix busted. she found me, and then my sugar went way high, over 1,000, ended up in a coma. And it was during COVID, so during COVID, nobody could come see you. So I was in the hospital by myself, in a coma for weeks at a time, I think a couple weeks. And I didn't know, but I'm going to tell a story. So I was in a coma, and this is a true story. I remember whether I was in a dream or the coma or not, but I had thought I had seen the devil, right? And I don't mean to get into religion and stuff like that, but I thought I had seen the devil, and he was breathing in front of my face, and I looked at him. I was like, man, I'm about to die. And I remember charging at the devil, because I was like, if I'm going to die, I got to confront him. It is what it is. And this is when I was in a coma. So I remember charging and screaming at him and running at him. And I was so scared and I was crying. All of a sudden I seen this light at the end of a tunnel. And it was like, man, you know, when you see that light at the end of the tunnel, I looked at that light. Now remember, this is during COVID. So my mom had come in to see me that day. And they was like, no, Miss Hall, you can't go in and see him. So she started saying, just let me say hello to him, please. Let me just go talk to him. I just want to stay for 5 minutes. That's all I ask. So my mom got to come in. She's looking over me. And I remember I'm still in my coma and I'm going through this dream. I go through that tunnel in the light and I look up. And the first person I see at that moment in time was my mother. I couldn't speak because I was on the breathing machine. And I look, and it was coincidence that I seen this angel, and it was my mom. And it was my mama. And my mom looked at me, and then I came out of the coma at that moment in time. Now remember, she could not come in the hospital. They wouldn't let her, but she begged to come at that moment to see me. At that moment in time, I looked up, and it was my mom, the first person that I saw when I came out of that coma. So she was like my angel, my guiding light. And then she looks at me, and I'll never forget. And I looked at her, and she looks at me, and she goes, Chucky, do you know who I am? And I remember shaking my head and goes, yes. And I couldn't speak, but I went, Ma, like that, because I had the tube down my throat. Do you remember that, Mom?
Yeah. I remember every day that I took you to the hospital, how sick you were.
Yeah, make sure you talk.
Very sick boy all your life.
Yeah, I was very sick all the time.
Chuck says, Mom, I'll never live to be 50.
And here I am about to be 58 this year, this upcoming year.
I said, you'll live as long as the Lord wants you to.
Talk in the mic, Mama, so they can hear you.
I said, you will live as long as the Lord wants you to. But I said, you have to do better than what you're doing, Chuck, with your health.
Yeah, I didn't take care of my health very much.
He didn't take care of his health. Back then, he was drinking every now and then and all this stuff, and I'm telling him, Chuck, that's going to kill you.
The thing about it is I was never really a drinker, but sometimes I'd get so thirsty and there'd be nothing available, so I would just snatch somebody's drink and say, hey, I'm thirsty. Can I have that Long Island? Can I have this? And I just wasn't taking care of myself. But I was never a drinker, never liked drinking, never was into that type of stuff. But I wasn't taking care of myself at the time. I was very sick. I was, only like got down to like 165 pounds.
Talk up.
Yeah, Mom, I can hear. I'm talking up in this microphone, so you can't hear me, so it doesn't sound loud to you out here because you didn't want the headphones on, but it's loud enough in here. Okay. So that's all you have to remember, okay? All right. So, like I said, I was very sick, and like I said, I went through the coma, and I seen my mother. She was the guiding light. She was like an angel, and man, it was just a blessing to get to see her. And here I am, like I said, my mom's been by my side. I help take care of my mother now, right, Mama? Yeah.
Yes.
I get to help take care of you.
I don't know what I'd do without him.
Yeah, we're best friends, huh, Mama? Yeah, you're my best friend.
Through thick and thin.
Yeah. And
Chuck could call me anytime, and I was there.
didn't matter what it was. I remember she moved like 5 different times. She'd get back to Alabama. She'd move to Alabama. She would be there. All of a sudden, I'd end up in the hospital again, sick, throwing up for weeks at a time, didn't have nobody. And then my mom would move back because I'd get sick again.
I moved 18 times.
Back and forth.
Back and forth. It would be 9 trips total.
Yep, 9 trips there and back, but a total of 18 times because she would move to Alabama, get situated. I'd get sick again, she'd move back. Then she would go to Alabama again. I'd get sick again, she'd move back, and it was just back and forth, back and forth.
The last time I called Chuck and I said, I'm coming, and I'm driving an 18-wheeler, pulling my car.
It was one of them big U-Hauls.
You can't drive an 18-wheeler.
It wasn't an 18-wheeler, but it was one of the biggest U-Hauls, and they had a trailer on the back.
It was an 18-wheeler.
Okay, it was an 18-wheeler, and she pulled. She drove herself. She put the car on the back, drove the car and everything from Alabama, moved everything, drove the car, everything, and drove herself. That's a strong-willed lady.
You can't do that. And I told him, I said, watch me. I said, bye. I love you. I'll see you later. And I did. And he was so sick. And when I got to the hospital, I said, Chuck, do you know who I am? He said, my mama.
I said, my mama.
He said, Mom, I love you. I didn't think you were coming. But he said, now I can go to sleep. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Good night, I love you.
And then the doctors wouldn't let him see me after that. 'Cause like I said, it was during the COVID time. And I know we're jumping around from back and forth stories to stories, but, a lot of good memories, a lot of sad memories, from being sick and, dancing and rapping and my whole life, it's a lot of things that we could bottle up in one big story. But one thing about it is I'm with my mom every day. I get to see her every day. She means the world to me, and that's why I wanted to do this podcast today, because you never know when it might be the last time I get to see her, tell her I love her, or vice versa with me. This might be the last time, we get to be together talking. And one thing that I regret was not having more pictures of my father. God rest his soul. He died in March 6, 2011. Me and my mom think about him every day. But one thing that I didn't do was have him on film. I didn't get nothing on film, nothing on camera, just old pictures and stuff like that. But I didn't get to have a conversation. I didn't save his voicemails. And that's one of my biggest regrets, was not having my dad on tape or film or something like that. So I says, I'm not going to make that mistake with my mom. So I wanted to have this conversation today on this podcast with my mom, so I could always remember this. And then if something happens today, she could say, you know what, play my son's podcast. I want to see him. I want to be able to listen to them talk to me and talk about her and myself on this podcast. So it means a lot, to have her down here on my podcast. Right, Mom?
Yeah.
And, and I want to give a shout out to my sister Cindy, because something kind of hit home yesterday. I had a big birthday party for my mom. We had like 20 people, and something hit home. A lot of the people was like, oh, this is the first time I met you. I didn't even know you had a sister, right? And, my sister was always like shy and quiet, even around my friends. But one thing about it was my sister's always been there for me. And so has my brother. They've always been there for me. Tim's the more boisterous one, the more getting in trouble, the more likely to always get in some type of havoc. But my sister's always been standoffish, quiet, never bothers nobody. So she was always never in the limelight. But I just wanted to tell my sister and my brother, but my sister especially, I love you and thank you for being there for me all the time when I needed you. When I needed a kidney, she was the first one to step up. She was an identical match. She had to lose 35 pounds in 3 months to give me my transplant, my first kidney transplant. She did it. She dieted. She walked. She ran. She jogged to lose that weight. And people don't know the story about that. So I wanted to tell my sister Cindy that I love you. I can never repay you. The only thing that I can do is repay you with love. And I tried to do that. So I never forget one time she says, Mama, you going to buy me a Louis bag for Christmas? Remember that, Mom?
A what?
She wanted to buy you a Louis bag, or you wanted her to buy you a Louis.
Yeah.
And you're like, Cindy, how much is it? A couple $100? She goes, no, like $2,000-$3,000. And you were like, what? $2,000-$3,000? I can't afford no Louis bag. So I remember, I'll never forget, her husband, Sean, at the time, he's like, man, I can't buy you another bag, Sin. I can't buy you another bag. So guess what Chuck did? The next day, I went and bought her a Louis bag for Christmas, for Christmas. Because what my sister wants, anything that I can do or get, she will get it from me. She donated me life with her kidney, so the least I can do is go buy her a $3,000 Louis bag. And that's what I did the very next day. And I'll always remember what she did for me by giving me life. And she's doing well, she's doing well, she's healthy. But she was never in the limelight like that. A lot of people didn't even know I had a sister. A lot of people really didn't even know I had a brother, because I was always just Chuck, always on the go, always, meeting people, talking to people, being in the limelight, work, clubs, nightlife. So no one really knew that I had, a sister. No one really even knew I even had a brother until he started getting in trouble. Then they'd be like, oh, that's your brother? Yeah, that's my brother. But I love them both dearly. I'll always cherish the moments we had together, living with my brother and my sister. They were the best times of my life growing up, especially with them. And when my father was alive, he was strict very hard on me. But I always loved my dad, even though he was hard on me. Sometimes he would tear my ass up. But he gave me life lessons that I take to this day. And it made me the man of who I am today, from my mother and my father. My mom always babied me, right, Mom? You did.
Yep.
You always babied me.
She was sick all the time.
Yeah, she gets emotional, you guys, because she's been through with me a lot. Right, Mama? Yeah, she always gets emotional, but she's always been there for me. Anytime that we've ever needed her, she's always been there. She's been my best friend my whole life. She's always been by my hospital, by my bedside. She's always been there when I've been sick, always been there when I needed something, always been there when I wanted something, whether it be money, a new car, a house, clothes. My mom provided for me.
I want to say one thing. He wanted a hockey net. Him and Tim.
They remember.
And they used to get me in the basement, and I didn't know what was going on, and they would light me up. They would.
We would put her as the goalie in the basement, and we'd say, "Mom, we got to practice." So we'd put my mom in the net, and we'd fire her up, and she threw the damn stick down and says, "I'm tired of this shit," and she went upstairs.
Well, I didn't swear, but you have to know that I love the Lord. I don't swear. I don't smoke.
Never drank. Well, you did one time. You drank one time. Remember, you drank the one time, Mama, and guess what? What happened?
I got pregnant with you. It was
Yeah.
my sister-in-law's wedding, and I come from work and I didn't have anything to eat, and so all they kept saying, just have a little bit. So I said, okay. I'm telling you, I took that one drink and I was under the table. And I come home and I was going to wash my corsage that I got from the wedding. And Charlie said, no, you're not. And I mean, the next day I was so sick. And I said to myself, if I live, I'll never drink again.
And she ended up having me.
I said, this was the worst time of my life.
Tell them what you did on the birth certificate, Mom. Dad wanted to name me Tim and Timothy, right?
See, I had two names picked out. I wanted Charles Hall Jr. And Timothy Scott was my two names.
Timothy Scott.
And
you wanted to name me after Dad, but Dad was like, no, I want to name him Timothy.
He's going to name you Timothy Scott. I said, okay. So the lady, when my husband left, the lady brought the paper in. She said, Miss Hall, would you fill this out? I said, what's this for? She said, for the child's name. I said, I already know that. It's Charles Edward Hall Jr. She said, well, you got it down pat. I said, I sure do. So I filled it all out. Then the birth certificate come. He opened it. He said, what is this? And it said, Charles E. Hall Jr. is your son's name. He said, I didn't sign. He said, your wife did. She had the right to sign it, or you had the right to sign it. And she happened to be there, and so she signed it. And he said, okay. And you know what? He didn't regret it. After he thought about it, I said, that is the only grandson on the Hall side at that time.
Yeah, I was the first grandson born because my dad and all his brothers, they all had girls. They had Tammy, they had Kim, they had Teresa, they had Stephanie, and they had Cindy. And then it was all girls. They all had girls. And then I was the first grandson, but I was the firstborn nephew and the firstborn son on the Hall side at the time. Then we ended up having Kevin and Tim. But, at the time, it was just me, And
remember, there was Kim, too. Born.
Yeah, I mentioned Kim.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yep. And then I want to give out a shout to the Rouge side of the family, because the Rouge side, so on my dad's side, it's the Hall and Littles. And then on my mother's side, it's the Rouge and Johnson family, right? So I want to give a shout out to my cousins on the Rouge side that I know. I want to give a shout out to all the Rouges and the Johnsons. I want to tell you guys that I love you. And a lot of people don't know my side of the family on that side, because I've always had the strong name side of the Halls. But yes, I am related to the Littles, the Rouges and Johnsons on my mother's side. And it's always been one of them things where I didn't get to see the other side a lot, because they're in South, or they were in Germany, because my uncle was in the Army. And my other uncle, he was at the White House at the time working for President Kennedy, Johnson, and Eisenhower. He was head of communications for the White House. That's my mom's brother. His name was Jack, my Uncle Jack. Then we had my Uncle Ron. Right, Mom? Uncle Ron.
No, well, Uncle Don.
Uncle Don.
Uncle Ron.
Uncle Ron of the Rouge side.
The oldest.
William, my Uncle William. And then my Uncle Jack. They were all on the Rouge side. So I want to give them shouts out in the Rouge family. And then I want to give a shout out, God rest their soul, to my Uncle Grover, my Uncle Red, Major Reed. I want to give a shout out to my Uncle Jimmy. I want to give a shout out to my Uncle George. They're all passed. All I have is aunts left. I don't have no uncles. I don't have any grandparents. They all died years and years, many years ago. My grandpa was born in 1901. That was your dad, right, Mama? 1901.
And
right.
Your dad's dad was from Switzerland.
Yeah, from my grandpa, my great-grandpa.
He was born in Switzerland, and his parents and them moved to Alabama.
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yep.
And that's where my dad was born, was in Nauvoo, Alabama.
But like I said, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have my mother on the podcast today. She's a very special lady. She means the world to me. I know sometimes I'm irritable, Mom, because of medications that I'm on with diabetes. Sometimes my sugar's low, I get irritable. Sometimes my sugar gets high, I get irritable. But at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, I just wanted to tell you of how much I love you. And I appreciate you for being my mom. I got the best mother in the world. I know that you'll do anything in the world for me or my brother or my sister. I want to tell you how much you mean to me. You are my best friend. And I love you dearly. And I think you know that. I would do anything in the world for you. That's why I'm with you every day. I try to take you out to eat at least once a day so you can say hello to everybody. You're like a household name. Everybody considers you their mom because they love you and how much you mean to everybody, how much you mean to me. You mean the world to me. You know I love you to the world and back. And I just wanted you to know that. You know that?
I love you too, from the 313 to the bottom of my heart. And I'll always be by his side to the day I die.
Yeah, she wants to let everybody know of how much she loves me and her kids and her family. And she's always been a very emotional person, right, Mom? But on the good note, today is her birthday. She turned 80 years old. And I'm so happy to be here with you on your 80th birthday, Mama. That is a very, very special thing to be 80 years old. And we're going to celebrate many more together, right?
Well, as long as the Lord keeps me here.
Okay. So, I'm going to end it today on a good note. It's my mother. I love her dearly. It's her 80th birthday, so I want to tell everybody, make sure you give her a shout out. Make sure you give her a happy birthday. Make sure you guys tune in to Chuck Dee, a.k.a. After Dark podcast. I'm going to end it today on a good note. It's my mother's birthday. She is the best mom in the world. I love her to death. Mom, we love you. Happy birthday. Chuck Dee, a.k.a. After Dark podcast. It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you, and we're out of here. Say goodbye, Mom.
Goodbye, everybody.
Tell them you love them, Mom.
I love you.
All right, bye-bye. We're going to end it right here. That's Chuck Dee, a.k.a. representing the DET, the 313, with my mom on her birthday. We're out of here.